My name is Akin, and I come from the village of Ipatu, nestled in the lush hills of Oyo State, Nigeria. I was born and raised there, surrounded by the ever-present hum of nature, the sound of birds, the rustling of leaves, the distant call of a farmer's drum signaling the time to begin work. Our village, like many others, thrived on agriculture. The people of Ipatu believed that the land was a gift from the gods, and we respected it deeply. There was one man, Okoro, who stood out from the rest. He was a farmer, but not like the others. Okoro's crops were always the best. His cassava, yams, maize, and plantains flourished like no one else's. He had a way with the soil, and his harvests were abundant year after year. Some said he had the touch of the gods, others believed he made a pact with the spirits of the land. Whatever it was, Okoro was blessed. But even the most blessed of us sometimes lose their way. It started one rainy season, when Okoro's crops began to wither. His cassava leaves turned yellow and brittle, and the yams he dug from the earth were smaller than ever. At first, he didn't worry. After all, the rains had been unpredictable that year, and it wasn't uncommon for crops to suffer a little. But as the weeks passed and the soil refused to yield its bounty, Okoro began to notice something strange. His neighbors, who often looked to him for guidance, were also experiencing problems with their harvests. The maize stalks were weak, the beans dry and sparse, and the plantain trees refused to bear fruit. One evening, as I was passing by Okoro's farm, I saw him sitting on a large rock at the edge of his field, staring out into the distance. He didn't seem angry, but there was something in his eyes that suggested a deep unease. "Akin," he called when he saw me. "Come sit with me, I need to talk." I joined him, sitting on the ground, the coolness of the earth beneath me offering some comfort as I waited for him to speak. "Something's wrong," he said after a long silence. "I've worked this land for years, and it has always given me so much. But now, it's like the earth is angry with me." I could see the frustration in his face. Okoro was a man who believed in his work. He had always performed the necessary rituals, made offerings to the gods, and asked for blessings during planting seasons. But recently, I knew he had stopped attending the village rituals. He had begun to believe that his success was due solely to his own skill and hard work, not the gods, not the spirits. "Have you spoken to the elders?" I asked, already knowing what his answer would be. He shook his head. "I don't believe in those old stories anymore, Akin. The gods have no hand in my success. It's just good farming. I've worked hard, and the land has rewarded me for it. But Okoro, you must respect the land and the spirits. The elders always say that it's not just about planting seeds and harvesting, but about giving thanks for what the land provides. Have you performed the necessary rituals?" Okoro stood up and paced around the field. "Rituals? Offerings? It's all nonsense. I've been successful without all of that. Why should I change now?" I tried to explain, but he wasn't listening. Okoro's pride had taken root in his heart, and nothing would shake it. The next few weeks were tense in the village. No one was seeing the usual abundance of crops, and people were beginning to wonder if the gods had turned their backs on Ipatu. The elders gathered in secret, whispering that Okoro's refusal to follow tradition had angered the earth spirits, but none of them dared to speak directly to him. Then, one afternoon, I saw an old woman from the village walking down the path to Okoro's farm. Her name was Adebisi, and she was known for her knowledge of herbs and spiritual matters. She was an elder, wise beyond her years, and had seen many things in her life. "Okoro," she said softly when she arrived, "I've come to speak with you about the land." Okoro looked up from his work and waved his hand dismissively. "I don't need any help, Adebisi. I know what I'm doing." She shook her head slowly, her gaze sharp. "It's not about what you know, my son. It's about what you've forgotten. You must make peace with the land before it takes everything from you." Okoro laughed bitterly. "Peace? With the land? I've given it everything. But now, it's taking from me instead." Adebisi sat down on the ground beside him. "The land gives, yes, but it also takes. And when you forget to honor the spirits, to honor the earth that sustains you, it can turn against you. I've seen it happen before." Okoro's eyes narrowed. "You're just like the others. Always talking about spirits and gods. I don't need that nonsense." Adebisi didn't argue. She simply stood up and said, "The land is still kind, but only if you are willing to listen." That night, after Adebisi had left, Okoro's house was silent. He sat alone in his dimly lit room, staring out the window, the weight of Adebisi's words sinking in. He had always prided himself on being independent, on not needing anyone or anything but his own hands and skills. But now, deep inside, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, the spirits were angry. The next morning, he went to the village center, where the elders were gathered for their daily meetings. They saw the fear in his eyes before he spoke. "I've been foolish," Okoro admitted, his voice quieter than usual. "I've neglected the customs, the rituals. I've forgotten to give thanks to the spirits of the land. I want to make things right." The elders nodded, and together, they arranged a ritual to honor the earth spirits and ask for forgiveness. Okoro made offerings of yam, palm wine, and kola nuts, and the village gathered around the sacred tree to pray for the earth's mercy. As the ritual took place, the sky above us seemed to shift, as if the earth itself was listening. The following season, Okoro's farm began to flourish once again. His crops grew strong and healthy, the yams deep in the earth, and the cassava leaves vibrant and green. Okoro learned that his success had never been solely his own doing, it was a gift from the earth, and he had to honor it. From that day on, Okoro was never seen without his offering basket, always humble, always respectful of the land and its spirits. He became a better farmer not just because of his skills, but because he understood the importance of balance, between hard work, respect, and faith. And so, the village of Ipatu flourished once more, and Okoro's harvests became the best once again, not because he was the most skilled, but because he knew how to listen to the earth and give thanks.